Hello everyone, welcome to the What If Anime YouTube channel. Today, we are diving into an exciting new story that will take your imagination to the next level. Let's get started. What if Hela was real mother of Naruto? Subscribe if you enjoy the video. And also check the description. So let's begin the story. Thunder split the heavens over Asgard. Not the proud crack of Thor's hammer, but something darker. A tearing of reality itself. Hela, goddess of death, hurled backward through the cosmos, her body trailing green-black smoke as she tumbled through the branches of Yggdrasil. Odin's banishment spell had found new strength since Thor's ascension, and this time, her defeat was absolute. Her screams echoed across the 9 realms as she fell, her power fractured, her form dissolving at the edges. The endless void surrounded her. No up, no down, only the sensation of falling forever. "I am Hela, Odin's daughter!" she shrieked into the void. "I am death incarnate!" "I cannot be," reality cracked. The borders between universes thinned. And Hela, goddess of death, vanished from her realm completely. In another world, another universe altogether, a red moon hung low over a hidden village nestled among towering trees. A man with spiky blonde hair and piercing blue eyes stood atop a massive toad, his hands forming complex seals as he prepared to sacrifice everything to save his home. Minato Namikaze, the 4th Hokage, had already accepted his fate, to die sealing the 9-tailed fox into his newborn son. His wife, Kushina Uzumaki, lay dying nearby, her incredible life force fading after the fox had been torn from her body. "I'm sorry, Naruto," Minato whispered to the crying infant. "I wish there was another way." The air shimmered, twisted, and tore open. A woman crashed to the earth with such force that the ground cratered beneath her. Her body wreathed in green-black energy. Black hair splayed like death itself, eyes burning with rage as she rose to her feet. Minato felt the presence. Power unlike anything he'd ever sensed before, neither chakra nor natural energy, but something ancient and terrible. "What realm is this?" Hela demanded, her voice carrying even over the roars of the 9 tails. She took in the chaos, the destruction, the massive fox demon, and her lips curled into a predatory smile. "How interesting." The 9 tails sensed her presence and turned its massive head. For the first time in its existence, something like fear flashed in those enormous red eyes. "You," Hela breathed, recognition dawning. "I know your kind. Death incarnate. A creature of endings." She laughed, the sound like breaking glass. "We're not so different, you and I." Minato moved to complete the sealing jutsu, but Hela was suddenly before him, impossibly fast. "A sealing spell?" she asked, examining the glowing characters swirling around him, trapping that magnificent creature inside. Her gaze fell upon the infant, and something unfamiliar stirred within her, a curiosity perhaps, or some echo of the woman she might have been in another life. "Inside this child? Stay back," Minato warned, though he knew instinctively this was no ordinary foe. Hela ignored him, reaching toward Naruto. A vessel for death itself. How poetic, the 9 tails roared, lunging toward them, sensing a chance at freedom. Minato prepared to make his final move, to summon the death god and complete the seal. But Hela laughed again, raising her hand toward the beast. "Death recognizes death," she whispered, "and I am its mistress." Green energy erupted from her palm, tendrils of necromantic power wrapping around the 9 tails. The demon fox howled, not in pain but in recognition of a power older than itself. "I'll make a bargain, demon," Hela called out. "Submit to me, and I'll grant you a host worthy of your power." The fox snarled but found itself unable to resist her call. There was kinship there. Death recognized death across universes. Minato watched in astonishment as the woman, this impossible being, began drawing the 9 tails energy not into herself, but directing it toward Naruto with geometric precision. "What are you doing?" he demanded. "Saving your life," Hela replied without looking at him, her focus absolute. "And claiming my due. This child will be my anchor in this realm." The sealing matrix Minato had prepared twisted, reshaped itself under Hela's influence. The death god he'd summoned appeared confused, its spectral form wavering as it encountered a being who was, in her own realm, its equal. "Be gone," Hela commanded the Shinigami. "This soul is not yours to take," With a sound like 1,000 paper doors sliding shut, the death god vanished. Minato felt the toll of the incomplete sealing jutsu hit him, but not the fatal cost he'd expected. He collapsed to his knees, drained but alive, as Hela completed a seal unlike anything the shinobi world had ever seen. Part Uzumaki Fuinjutsu, part Asgardian magic. The nine tails, subdued in ways it couldn't comprehend, spiraled into the infant's body. But unlike the standard Jinchuriki seal, this one shimmered with emerald energy, allowing the beast dignified rest rather than imprisonment. Hela staggered as the sealing completed, her power greatly diminished in this unfamiliar realm. She looked down at her hands, seeing them solid but feeling the weakness in her limbs. "My power," she murmured. Trapped between worlds, Minato crawled to where Kushina lay. She still breathed, though barely. The extraction should have killed her instantly, but somehow she clung to life. "Your wife possesses remarkable life force," Hela noted, following his gaze. "It reminds me of someone I once knew." She moved to Kushina's side, placing a pale hand on the woman's forehead. Green energy pulsed, and Kushina gasped, her eyes flying open. "I've stabilized her," Hela said. "But she won't last long. Her life force was the tether for that creature. Without it, she'll fade." Kushina's eyes found the infant. "Naruto," she whispered. Hela lifted the child, studying him with curious intensity. The whisker marks on his cheeks pulsed once with green light, then settled into their familiar pattern. "An extraordinary vessel," she murmured. "Worthy of my attention. Give me my son," Kushina pleaded, her voice weak. Hela's eyes narrowed. "Your son? No, I think not." She cradled Naruto with unexpected gentleness. "I've given him power beyond your imagining. I've saved your village from destruction. And in return, this child will be my anchor to this realm." Minato tried to stand to fight, but found his body wouldn't respond. The chakra exhaustion was too severe. "You can't take our child," he said. Hela smiled, and there was something terrible and beautiful in that expression. "I already have. But fear not, Hokage. I am not without mercy. Your wife's life force is fading, but it can be rechanneled." She knelt beside Kushina, still holding Naruto. "Your final gift to your son," she told the dying woman, "will be to sustain the seal that makes him extraordinary. Your life force, bound to him forever." Tears streamed down Kushina's face as she reached for her baby one last time. Hela allowed the contact, watching as mother touched son, a final blessing. "I love you, Naruto," Kushina whispered. "Grow strong. Be kind. Know that we wanted you more than anything." Minato watched helplessly as Hela placed her hand over Kushina's heart. Green light pulsed, and Kushina's body dissolved into threads of golden red chakra that spiraled into the seal on Naruto's stomach. "A mother's love," Hela murmured. "Preserved forever." She stood, the infant in her arms, and turned to Minato. "This child is mine now," she stated simply. "But I am not cruel. He will grow in your village, learning your ways. He will become a bridge between worlds. And when the time is right, he will help me reclaim what is mine." Minato, drained and heartbroken, could only watch as Hela walked away, his son in her arms, into the smoke and chaos of a village that would never know how close it had come to destruction, or what price had truly been paid for its salvation. Behind them, the great fox's roar subsided into silence, sealed within a child who now bore the legacy of two worlds, and the blood of death itself. The apartment was small, a single bedroom, a modest kitchen, a living area barely large enough for a threadbare couch. But it was clean, almost obsessively so, with weapons arranged precisely on the wall, and scrolls stacked in perfect alignment on the shelves. For a 6-year-old boy, the solitude might have been crushing. But Naruto Uzumaki was never truly alone. Again came the commanding voice from the shadows. "Your form is sloppy." Naruto, sweating and breathing hard, rose from the floor where he'd been practicing taijutsu forms for the past 3 hours. His small face set with determination as he resumed the stance. "Yes, mother," he replied, his voice steady despite his exhaustion. Hela emerged from the darkness of the corner, her tall, elegant figure seeming too otherworldly for the mundane apartment. She wore simple black attire that somehow managed to look regal, a concession to blending in with this realm that still maintained her innate majesty. Power comes from precision, she instructed, moving behind him to adjust his stance with cool, efficient touches. Strength without control is mere brutality. We are not brutes, are we, Naruto? No, mother. He straightened his back, aligned his feet exactly as she'd shown him. We are royalty. A slight smile touched Hela's lips. Indeed, for 6 years, she had been Naruto's constant shadow, visible only to him. The Asgardian magic that had sustained her across realms allowed her this half-existence, corporeal to her son, but invisible to all others. Only the Hokage and a select few ANBU knew of her presence, and even they couldn't see her unless she wished it. An arrangement had been struck in the chaotic aftermath of the Nine-Tails attack. Minato, severely weakened but alive, had managed to maintain his position as Hokage. He'd been forced to accept Hela's terms. Naruto would remain in the village, would train as a shinobi, but he was hers to raise as she saw fit, a compromise that satisfied no one completely but preserved a fragile peace. The academy instructors were cruel to you again today, Hela observed, circling her son as he moved through the complex kata. Naruto's face remained impassive. They fear what they don't understand. And what is it they don't understand, my son? That I am more than they could ever comprehend. He completed the form with a final, precise strike. That I carry death within me. Hela nodded, satisfied. Never forget that you are different, Naruto. Special. The blood of Asgard flows in your veins now, mingled with the chakra of this realm. You are either fully of this world nor of mine. You are something new. She reached out, touching the whisker marks on his cheek. They flashed green briefly before returning to normal. And what lies within you is not merely a demon, but a force of nature bound to my will. The Nine-Tails respects strength, and through me, it respects you. Naruto nodded solemnly. At 6, he understood far more than any child his age should. Hela had made certain of that. A knock at the door interrupted them. Hela faded instantly into shadow, her voice lingering in Naruto's mind. Be cautious. Remember what I taught you. Naruto walked to the door, his posture shifting subtly, shoulders slumping, eyes widening, mouth curving into the carefree grin he wore like a mask among others. The transformation was remarkable. From disciplined warrior to ordinary child in seconds, he opened the door to find an ANBU operative kneeling at eye level, porcelain mask gleaming in the hallway light. The Hokage requests your presence, Naruto-kun, said a voice that, despite the mask's disguise, Naruto recognized as belonging to Kakashi Hatake. Old man Minato wants to see me? Naruto asked, his voice pitched higher, infused with childish excitement that never reached his eyes. The ANBU nodded. I'm to escort you immediately. Go, Hela whispered in his mind. Listen carefully. Tell him nothing of importance. Naruto bounced on his toes, playing the role of excited child perfectly. Let me get my shoes! As they walked through the village, Naruto maintained his facade. He waved at villagers who either ignored him or glared in return. News of his status as the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki had leaked years ago, despite Minato's best efforts. The village's fear had never quite subsided. Kakashi walked silently beside him, but Naruto felt the man's sideways glances. Is something wrong, Kakashi-san? He asked innocently. The ANBU hesitated. You know who I am even with the mask. Naruto giggled, the sound practiced to perfection. Your hair gives you away. Nobody else has hair that stands up like that. He could sense Kakashi's unease. The man had been one of Minato's students, and now found himself torn between loyalty to his sensei and discomfort around the strange child who should have been like a nephew to him. He suspects, Hela's voice whispered. Be the fool they expect. Hey, Kakashi-san! Do you think the Hokage will give me ramen? I love ramen. Especially when we're here. Kakashi interrupted, sounding faintly relieved as they reached the Hokage tower. Minato Namake's looked older than his years. The incomplete sealing jutsu from 6 years ago had taken its toll, leaving him with diminished chakra reserves and premature lines around his eyes. Yet he remained the yellow flash, leader of the hidden leaf, respected and admired. When Naruto entered, Minato's expression softened. The boy looked so much like him, the same blonde hair, the same blue eyes. But there was something else there too, Something in the way he moved, the too perfect posture that slipped through the childish act at unguarded moments. Naruto, he said warmly. Thank you for coming. Hi, old man. Naruto chirped, launching himself at the desk with enthusiasm that would have seemed genuine to anyone who hadn't spent years studying the boy's true nature. Minato had. Kakashi, please wait outside, the Hokage ordered. When they were alone, Naruto's demeanor shifted. The smile remained, but his eyes grew watchful, calculating. Is she here? Minato asked quietly. Naruto tilted his head. Mother is always with me. Hela materialized partly from the shadows, just enough for Minato to see her outline. A courtesy she rarely extended. Hokage, she acknowledged, her voice cold. You look unwell. Perhaps the burden of leadership is becoming too much for you. Minato ignored the taunt. I've received reports from the academy. Naruto's instructors are concerned. Oh? Hela raised an eyebrow. About what? His perfect scores? His exemplary conduct? About the fact that he dislocated another student's arm during a basic sparring match yesterday. Naruto's expression didn't change. Mizuki-sensei said to demonstrate a standard takedown. I demonstrated, with excessive force. Minato countered. The boy is 2 years older than you, Naruto. You could have seriously injured him. Hela placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder. My son defended himself against a larger opponent who has repeatedly demonstrated hostility toward him. Should he have allowed himself to be hurt instead? Minato's jaw tightened. This isn't Asgard, Hela. We don't train children to be killers, don't you? Her laugh was brittle. Your academy teaches combat techniques to children as young as 5. You prepare them for war before they've lost their baby teeth. At least I'm honest about my intentions. The difference is in restraint, Minato insisted. Something you seem unwilling to teach. Restraint is for the weak, Hela replied. And my son will never be weak. Naruto watched this exchange with the detached interest of someone who had witnessed this same argument many times before. I can show more restraint if that's what you wish, Hokage-sama. He offered, his tone perfectly respectful. I apologize for my actions. Minato studied the boy, searching for sincerity and finding only careful calculation. Naruto, he said gently, it's not just about restraint. I'm concerned about your development. You don't play with other children. You spend all your time training or studying. I enjoy training. Naruto replied simply. You're 6 years old. You should have friends. You should laugh and play and make myself vulnerable. Naruto finished, something cold flashing in his eyes before the childish mask slipped back into place. I mean, I try to make friends, but the other kids don't like me much. It's okay though. I've got Tsuchiya-in at the ramen stand, and Irika-sensei is nice to me, and I've got mother. Yes. Minato interrupted, his voice tinged with sadness. You have your mother. Hela's partially materialized form stepped forward, her outline shimmering with suppressed anger. What exactly are you implying, Hokage? That my guidance is somehow detrimental? I am preparing him for the reality of this world, and others beyond. Without me, he would be just another weeping orphan, scorned by your precious villagers. Without you, he would have had a normal childhood with 2 parents who loved him. Minato countered, a rare flash of anger breaking through his composed exterior. Naruto's eyes widened slightly. This was a deviation from the usual script. Hela laughed, the sound like ice cracking. A normal childhood? As the container for the 9 tails? Don't delude yourself. Your wife would still be dead, and you would be governing from the afterlife. I saved you both, and this is my reward, my son, raised to understand his true potential. Minato stood, placing both hands on his desk as he leaned forward. He is not your son. Not by blood. Blood? Hela's form solidified further, green energy crackling around her. I infused him with my essence. I bound the fox to my will within him. His very chakra pulses with my power. He is more mine than yours now, Minato Namikaze. Naruto watched this escalation with growing concern. He stepped between them, facing Minato. Hokage-sama, he said, his voice steady and far too mature. I understand your concerns. I will moderate my behavior at the academy. Is there anything else you wish to discuss? The simple intervention, so composed, so diplomatic, only highlighted Minato's fears. No 6-year-old should be capable of such perfect crisis management. He sighed, the fight leaving him. No, Naruto. That's all. Thank you for coming. As Naruto turned to leave, Minato called out once more. Naruto, if you ever want to talk about anything, my door is always open to you. The boy paused, and for just a moment, something genuine flickered across his face. A child's longing, quickly suppressed. Thank you, Hokage-sama, he said formally, then slipped out the door. Hela remained, her form gradually fading. You can't save him from what he is becoming, she told Minato. Nor should you want to. This world will need his strength when the time comes. What time? Minato demanded. What are you preparing him for, Hela? Her smile was terrible in its beauty. For everything this universe and others will throw at him. For the day when death itself will bow to him. She began to disappear into shadow. And for the day when he will help me reclaim my throne. Minato was left alone in his office, staring at the empty space where she had been. Outside, walking home through streets gilded by the setting sun, Naruto maintained his bouncy, childlike facade. Kakashi had been dismissed, leaving him to make his own way back. You handled that well, Hela's voice whispered in his mind. He's getting more direct. Naruto murmured, seemingly to himself as any passerby would assume. He's going to try to separate us. He cannot, Hela assured him. Our bond transcends the pitiful limitations of this realm. Naruto nodded slightly, then stopped as he noticed 3 older boys blocking the alley ahead, academy students, 3rd years, who had made their dislike of him abundantly clear. Hey, look, it's the freak, the tallest one called out. Talking to himself again, perfect timing, Hela purred in his mind. A chance to practice what we discussed. Remember, measured response. Naruto's innocent smile never faltered as he approached the boys. Hi, he said brightly. Can I help you with something? Yeah, said the leader, shoving Naruto hard enough to make him stumble. You can help by disappearing, monster. Everyone knows what you are. Restraint, Hela reminded him. Just enough to teach a lesson, not enough to draw the Hokage's attention again. The second boy kicked at Naruto's legs, trying to sweep him off his feet. With a movement too controlled for a child his age, Naruto shifted just enough to maintain his balance, then allowed himself to fall anyway, playing the victim. Please, he whimpered, infusing his voice with fear he didn't feel. I don't want any trouble, the boys laughed, circling closer. Heard you broke Kenji's arm yesterday, the third boy said. Not so tough now, are you? They know about the incident. Interesting. Someone wants to test you. Naruto glanced up, catching a flicker of movement on a nearby rooftop. An Anbu mask, quickly concealed. We're being watched, he thought to Hela. The Hokage's orders? Undoubtedly. Show them what they want to see. What followed was a masterful performance. Naruto allowed the boys to land several blows, crying out convincingly. He defended himself just enough to prevent serious injury, but not enough to reveal his true skills. When one boy kicked him in the stomach, he wheezed and curled into a ball. Not so special after all. The leader taunted, landing a final kick before gesturing for his friends to follow him away. Stay down, freak! Naruto lay in the dirt of the alley, counting to 30 before slowly picking himself up. He brushed off his clothes, wiped blood from his lip, and once certain the Anbu was still watching, let a single tear fall. Then he continued home, his posture subtly slumped, the picture of a defeated child. Only when he closed his apartment door behind him did he straighten, his expression clearing, all traces of discomfort vanishing. How was that? He asked as Hela fully materialized. She cupped his face, examining the bruises that were already beginning to heal. The Nine-Tails power at work. Perfect, she said, genuine pride in her voice. You gave them exactly what they expected to see. A frightened child, powerful but untrained, vulnerable like any other boy. Naruto nodded, pleased with the assessment. They'll continue to underestimate you. Hela continued, moving to the kitchen to prepare a simple meal. An underestimation is a weapon sharper than any kunai. The Hokage doesn't underestimate me, Naruto pointed out, retrieving medical supplies to clean the small cut on his lip. He's afraid of what I'm becoming. Hela's smile was thin but genuine, as he should be. Later that night, as Naruto slept, Hela stood by his window, gazing out at the village bathed in moonlight. Her form flickered occasionally, a reminder of her tenuous connection to this realm. Only through Naruto, through the seal that bound them, could she maintain even this much substance. She placed a hand on her son's forehead, brushing blonde hair from his face. In sleep, the perfected masks fell away. He looked like any child, peaceful, innocent. Hela felt something unfamiliar stir within her chest. In the years since her fall from Asgard, since claiming this child as her own, emotions she'd thought long dead had begun to resurface. Not weakness, never weakness, but something adjacent to tenderness. A possessiveness that transcended mere utility. You will be magnificent, she whispered to her sleeping son. Greater than Thor, greater than Odin. A god among mortals. She turned her gaze back to the window, to the stone faces carved into the mountain overlooking the village. One day, perhaps, Naruto's face would join them. A stepping stone on the path to his true destiny. And when the time comes, she promised the knight, you will help me reclaim what is mine. Asgard will know the name Naruto Uzumaki, son of Hela, prince of death, heir to realms beyond imagining. In his sleep, Naruto stirred, whisker marks flashing green momentarily before settling back to normal. And deep within him, in the elaborate seal that bound god to demon to child, the nine-tailed fox opened one massive eye, observing the goddess who had subjugated it with power that rivaled its own. The fox had lived for centuries, had known many hosts, many masters. But never before had it encountered a being like Hela, death incarnate from another realm. The fox understood, on some primal level, that it had become part of something unprecedented. It closed its eye again, settling back into slumber. The child would grow stronger. The goddess would regain her power. And the nine tails would wait, patient as only an immortal creature can be, to see what became of this strange trinity they had formed. Something new was taking shape in the hidden village. Something that would shake the foundations of worlds both known and unknown. Morning sunlight streamed through the academy windows, painting golden rectangles across the classroom floor. Students filtered in, taking their seats amid the buzz of conversation and laughter. Naruto entered alone, his posture relaxed but movements precise. At 12, he'd grown tall for his age, lean and wiry beneath the standard academy uniform he wore with subtle modifications, black instead of blue, with faint green piping along the seams that caught the light strangely when he moved. The chatter diminished as he passed, other students drawing back slightly, unconsciously creating space around him. He noted their reactions with detached interest, cataloging the varying degrees of fear, suspicion, and curiosity on their faces. 6 years of academy training, and still they keep their distance, Hela observed from the shadows of his mind. They sense what you are, even if they don't understand it. Naruto took his seat in the back corner, acknowledging the thought with the slightest nod as he arranged his materials with perfect precision on the desk. Good morning, Naruto-kun, came a hesitant voice. He looked up to see Hinata Hyuga, hands clasped nervously before her, pale eyes averted. Of all his classmates, she alone consistently attempted friendly interaction. Good morning, Hinata-san, he replied politely, his tone neither encouraging nor dismissive. The Hyuga girl again, Hela noted with mild amusement. She's drawn to your power like a moth to flame. Naruto observed Hinata's fidgeting, the flush spreading across her cheeks. Would you like to sit down? He asked, gesturing to the empty seat beside him. Her eyes widened in surprise before she nodded quickly, sliding into the offered chair with careful movements, as if afraid sudden motion might cause him to rescind the invitation. Interesting choice, Hela commented. What do you hope to gain from this association? Information, Naruto replied mentally. The Hyuga see more than most. Aloud, he asked. Are you prepared for the genin exams next week, Hinata-san? I've been practicing, she murmured. Father says my form has improved, but... She trailed off, fingers twisting together. But he expects perfection. Naruto finished. He'd spent years studying his classmates, learning their strengths, their weaknesses, their family dynamics. Hayashi Hyuga's demanding nature was well documented. Hinata looked up, startled by his insight. Yes, perfection is overrated. he said, allowing a faint smile. Effectiveness is what matters. Before she could respond, Irika-sensei entered the classroom, calling for attention. The instructor's gaze swept the room, pausing momentarily on Naruto and Hinata before moving on. Today we'll be reviewing the transformation technique, Irika announced. This will be on your graduation exam, so pay close attention. As the lesson progressed, Naruto maintained the careful balance he'd perfected over years, demonstrating enough skill to pass easily without revealing his true capabilities. When called upon to perform the transformation jutsu, he executed it with deliberate imperfection, allowing a slight blur around the edges of his henge. Good, Naruto, Irika said, making a note on his clipboard. But watch your chakra control. You're using more than necessary. Naruto nodded, affecting a look of concentration. I'll work on it, Irika-sensei. He returned to his seat beside Hinata, who whispered, That was really good, not as good as yours, he replied truthfully. Her transformation had been flawless, as expected from a Hyuga. She blushed again, ducking her head. She's useful, Hela observed. Her bloodline gives her insights others lack, and her infatuation makes her willing to share those insights. It's not just that, Naruto thought back. She's kind. He felt his mother's surprise at the sentiment. Over the years, Hela had grown more complex in her interactions with him, less purely focused on power and more attentive to the subtleties of this world they found themselves in. Still, concepts like kindness for its own sake remained foreign to her. Kindness is a luxury afforded to those who need not fear destruction, she responded after a moment. Nevertheless, cultivate this relationship if you find it valuable. The morning passed in routine lessons, chakra theory, shinobi history, basic tactics. Naruto absorbed it all while simultaneously conducting his own observations, noting which students excelled at what, which instructors favored certain techniques, which ANBU operatives cycled through surveillance duty on the academy grounds. At lunch, he sat beneath a tree in the yard, eating the meal he prepared himself. Simple but precisely balanced nutrition, another lesson from Hela, who insisted that proper fueling of the body was as important as training the mind. Hey, dead last! Naruto looked up to see Kiba Inuzuka approaching, Akamaru trotting at his heels. Despite Naruto's consistent high marks, Kiba had coined the nickname years ago, when Naruto had deliberately failed a series of taijutsu exercises to better conceal his abilities. Hello, Kiba-san, he replied evenly. Kiba scowled, clearly hoping for a stronger reaction. Still acting all high and mighty? You think you're better than everyone else, don't you? Naruto took another bite of his lunch, chewing thoroughly before answering. I think everyone has different strengths. Yeah? Well, I think you're weird, Kiba declared. Always alone, always watching everyone. It's creepy. He smells the fox, Hela noted. The Inuzuka are like bloodhounds, primitive but effective. I apologize if my behavior makes you uncomfortable, Naruto said, voice neutral. Kiba's scowl deepened. See? That's what I mean. Who talks like that? You sound like some kind of, leave him alone, Kiba. Naruto glanced up in mild surprise as Shikamaru Nara approached, hands shoved in his pockets, expression bored but eyed sharp. What's it to you, Shikamaru? Kiba demanded. Since when do you care? I don't. Shikamaru shrugged. But your barking is troublesome. Some of us are trying to enjoy the quiet. Kiba hesitated, caught between continuing his confrontation and taking on a new opponent. Akamaru whined softly, tugging at his pant leg. Whatever, he finally muttered. Come on, Akamaru. He stalked away, throwing one last glare over his shoulder. Shikamaru sighed, shoulders slumping as if the brief interaction had drained what little energy he possessed. His calculating eyes swept over Naruto, who continued eating as if nothing had happened. You could stand up for yourself, you know, Shikamaru said, dropping onto the grass a few feet away. You're stronger than you let on. Naruto paused mid-bite, a flicker of genuine surprise crossing his features before the mask slid back into place. What makes you say that? Your movements. Shikamaru plucked a blade of grass, twirling it between his fingers. When we spar, you pull your strikes at exactly the same point each time. Your timing is too consistent to be natural. It's calculated. Clever boy, Hela whispered in Naruto's mind. The Nara bloodline produces true strategists. He could be dangerous or useful, Naruto countered silently. That's an interesting theory, he said aloud, either confirming nor denying. Shikamaru shrugged again. Just an observation. Honestly, I couldn't care less what you're hiding. It's too troublesome to get involved. Then why intervene with Kiba? Like I said, his barking was annoying me. Shikamaru closed his eyes, face turned toward the sun. Besides, tomorrow's the Genin exam. Figured we could all use a break from the drama. Naruto studied the Nara era with renewed interest. Of all his classmates, Shikamaru had always been the hardest to read, deliberately underperforming, yet occasionally revealing flashes of brilliant insight. Thank you, Naruto said finally. Shikamaru cracked one eye open. For what? For the observation. It's helpful feedback. A ghost of a smile touched Shikamaru's lips before he closed his eye again. Whatever. Just don't make me regret it. The rest of lunch passed in companionable silence, an unexpected development that left Naruto with much to consider. When classes resumed, Mizuki-sensei took over for the afternoon practical session. Unlike Irika, whose concern for his students seemed genuine if naive, Mizuki radiated barely concealed contempt, particularly toward Naruto. Today we'll practice shuriken techniques, Mizuki announced, leading them to the training field. Accuracy under pressure is essential for a shinobi. The exercise was simple. Hit moving targets while dodging obstacles. Students lined up, taking turns navigating the course. I've never trusted this one, Hela commented as Mizuki's gaze lingered on Naruto. There's malice behind his eyes. Agreed, Naruto thought. He's been watching me more closely lately. When Naruto's turn came, Mizuki's smile took on a predatory edge. Let's see what you can do, Uzumaki. Naruto stepped forward, weighing the practiced shuriken in his hand. The metal felt dull, improperly balanced. He glanced at the weapon Sasuke had used in his flawless run. Definitely different from what Naruto now held. He's tampered with your tools, Hela observed, voice sharp with displeasure. A petty sabotage. Should I fail deliberately? Naruto asked, considering his options in the split second before his run began. No, Hela decided. Show enough skill to pass despite his interference. It will unsettle him more than failure would. Naruto nodded imperceptibly and launched into the course. The weighted shuriken flew awkwardly, requiring significant compensation. He adjusted his throwing technique, deliberately missing 2 targets but hitting the others with enough precision to earn a passing score. When he finished, Mizuki's smile had turned brittle. Adequate, Uzumaki. But accuracy needs work. Yes, sensei. Naruto bowed slightly, his bland expression revealing nothing of his awareness of the instructor's duplicity. As he rejoined his classmates, he caught Sasuke Uchiha watching him, dark eyes narrowed in assessment. The last Uchiha had always kept his distance, focused entirely on his own training. But lately he'd begun paying more attention to those around him, particularly those who might prove challenging rivals. The Uchiha boy grows more perceptive, Hela noted. His bloodline gives him potential far beyond these other children. He's driven by hatred, Naruto replied, remembering the massacre that had left Sasuke the sole survivor of his clan. It makes him strong but unstable. Hatred is a powerful fuel, Hela acknowledged. But you're right to be cautious. Unchecked, it consumes its vessel. The afternoon wore on, and finally Irika dismissed them with reminders about the graduation exam. Students scattered, chattering excitedly about their plans as newly minted genin. Naruto gathered his things methodically, noting Mizuki's lingering presence by the door. As he passed, the instructor called out, "A moment, Uzumaki." Naruto paused, expression neutral. "Yes, Mizuki-sensei?" The man's smile didn't reach his eyes. "I noticed you struggled with some of the shuriken today. I could offer additional training if you're concerned about passing the exam." The trap was so obvious Naruto almost admired its boldness. He's planning something, Hela warned unnecessarily. No genuine offer of help would come from this one. "Thank you for the offer, sensei," Naruto replied, infusing his voice with just the right amount of grateful enthusiasm. "But I've been practicing a lot at home. I'm sure I'll do fine on the exam." Disappointment flashed across Mizuki's face, quickly masked. "If you change your mind, the offer stands," Naruto bowed slightly and continued on his way, mentally cataloging the interaction for further analysis. Outside, the setting sun painted Konoha in hues of gold and amber. Most students had already departed, leaving the academy grounds quiet save for the distant sounds of the village. Merchants closing shop, children playing, shinobi moving across rooftops. He will try again, Hela observed as they walked home. His type always does. I'll be ready, Naruto murmured, keeping his voice low. Even when no one appeared to be watching, he knew the ANBU maintained a regular surveillance. Years of careful observation had taught him their patterns, which rooftops they favored, how often they rotated, which ones belonged to Kakashi's squad. Today he sensed no immediate watchers, but caution had become second nature. The apartment was empty when he arrived, as expected. Hela's form materialized fully once the door closed behind them, her elegant figure seeming too grand for the modest space. You handled the Nara boy well, she said, moving to the kitchen with the fluid grace that made even mundane tasks appear regal. His intelligence could make him an ally or an enemy. I don't think he wants to be either, Naruto replied, setting his bag down and beginning his post-academy routine, checking the subtle traps he'd set around the apartment, ensuring nothing had been disturbed in his absence. He values his freedom too much to align completely with anyone. All the more reason to cultivate his goodwill, Hela pointed out. Those who stand apart often see what others miss. Naruto nodded, satisfied that their space remained secure. And Mizuki? Hela's eyes narrowed, green energy briefly shimmering around her fingertips. One of the few displays of power she allowed herself in this realm. He plots against you. We should eliminate the threat. Too suspicious, Naruto countered, moving to the refrigerator to prepare dinner. An academy instructor dying right before graduation would draw unwanted attention. Then we watch and wait, Hela conceded. But if he moves against you directly, I'll handle it, Naruto assured her, his voice taking on a harder edge that matched the cold glint in his eyes. Appropriately, Hela smiled, a predator's smile, beautiful and terrible. Of course you will. You are my son after all. Later that evening, as twilight deepened into night, Naruto sat cross-legged on the living room floor, eyes closed in meditation. Across from him, Hela mirrored his posture, her form occasionally flickering like a candle flame in a draft. Focus, she instructed. Find the boundary between your chakra and the foxes. Naruto's breathing remained steady as he turned his awareness inward, navigating the complex energy flows within his body. His own chakra, bright blue with threads of green woven through it, circulated in familiar patterns. Beyond it, separated by the intricate seal, roiled the vast crimson energy of the Nine Tails. In this meditative state, he could sense the fox's consciousness, ancient, powerful, watching with wary interest as he approached the boundary. I'm here, Naruto said, his voice echoing strangely in the mindscape. Now reach for the seal. Hela's voice guided him. Not to break it, but to understand it. Feel how my power binds yours to the foxes. Naruto extended his awareness toward the elaborate construct that joined them. Part Uzumaki Fuinjutsu, part Asgardian magic. A hybrid creation unlike anything in either world. Green energy pulsed along its lines, maintaining the balance that allowed all three beings to coexist. It's changing, he observed, noting subtle shifts in the patterns. Adapting, yes, Hela confirmed. As you grow stronger, so does the connection. Soon you'll be ready for the next stage. Naruto's eyes opened in the physical world, meeting his mother's gaze. What is the next stage? Hela's expression grew solemn. Direct communication with the fox. It is time you spoke with the being whose power you carry. Surprise registered on Naruto's face. A rare, genuine reaction. You think I'm ready? The graduation exam marks your transition from child to shinobi, Hela said. It is an appropriate time to expand your understanding of what you truly are. The prospect sent an unfamiliar thrill through Naruto. Not fear, exactly, but a keen awareness of crossing a significant threshold. And after that? He asked. Hela rose to her feet in a single fluid movement, green energy shimmering around her like a second skin. After that, we begin the work of extending my influence in this realm. For too long, I have existed here as a shadow, bound to you and this village. Her eyes gleamed with purpose. It is time for the goddess of death to reclaim her proper place, not just in Asgard, but in all the realms. Naruto stood as well, his young face set with determination. I am ready, mother. I know you are. Hela replied, something like genuine pride glowing in her usually cold eyes. You have exceeded even my expectations, Naruto. Together, we will reshape the destiny of worlds. Outside their window, the moon rose over Konoha, full and bright. And somewhere in the village, Mizuki finalized plans that would, unknowingly, set in motion events neither he nor anyone else could have predicted. The game was about to change. The day of the Genin exam dawned clear and bright, sunlight streaming through Naruto's window as he completed his morning routine with methodical precision. 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, stretches, meditation. The same pattern he'd followed for years. Hela materialized by the window, her form unusually solid in the morning light. Today will be significant, she said, watching as he moved through his exercises without a wasted motion. Not just because of the exam. Naruto paused, looking up. You've sensed something? A shift in the energies around us. Her fingers traced patterns in the air, green light briefly trailing their path. Multiple threads converging. Mizuki's scheming, the Hokage's vigilance, the fox stirring within you. The fox has been more active lately. Naruto acknowledged, resuming his training. I can feel its awareness pressing against the seal, especially during sleep. It senses the coming change, Hela explained. Like a storm animal before an earthquake. Tonight, after the exam, we will make contact. Naruto completed his final repetition and stood, wiping sweat from his brow. And if it resists, Hela's smile was cold confidence. It won't. Death recognizes death, my son. The Nine Tails understands power better than these humans ever could. Naruto nodded, moving to prepare breakfast. Simple, protein-rich foods to fuel the day ahead. As he ate, he mentally reviewed the exam requirements. A written test, demonstration of basic ninjutsu including clone technique, transformation, and substitution, followed by taijutsu sparring and weapons accuracy. None of it would be challenging for him, but the real test lay in precisely calibrating his performance. Good enough to pass easily without revealing his true capabilities. Remember, Hela said as he finished his meal, today is not about excelling. It's about positioning. I know, Naruto replied, rising to clear his dishes. Middle of the pack. Strong enough to advance, not strong enough to draw special attention. Precisely. Hela watched as he donned his academy uniform, adjusting the subtle green accents that were his only concession to personal style. The true work begins after graduation, when team assignments offer new opportunities for alliance and information. Naruto nodded, gathering his supplies. Before leaving, he paused at the small shrine tucked in the corner of the living room, a concession to local customs that served as perfect camouflage for the true purpose of its contents. The shrine appeared to honor the standard Konoha deities, but hidden among the traditional elements were symbols of Asgard, runes carved into the wood, a tiny vial of water that Hela claimed came from the roots of Yggdrasil, brought with her during her fall between realms. At the center stood what appeared to be a traditional protection charm, but was actually a focus for Hela's connection to this world, strengthening her ability to manifest. Naruto touched the charm briefly, feeling the faint pulse of otherworldly energy respond to his contact. It was a ritual he performed before every significant event, not prayer, but acknowledgement of his dual heritage and purpose. I will make you proud today, mother, he said formally. Hela's expression softened fractionally. You already have, my son. The academy buzzed with nervous energy when Naruto arrived. Students clustered in tight groups, quizzing each other on last-minute details or practicing hand seals. He noted their anxiety with detached interest, taking his usual seat at the back of the classroom. Hinata arrived moments later, her pale eyes finding him immediately. Good morning, Naruto-kun, she greeted, approaching with her characteristic hesitancy. Good morning, Hinata-san, he replied, gesturing to the seat beside him. Over the past weeks, their tentative association had developed into something approaching regular interaction. Are you ready for the exam? She nodded, sliding into the offered chair. I practiced the clone jutsu all evening. A faint blush colored her cheeks. Father says it's acceptable. Naruto recognized the subtle pain behind the statement. Acceptable. From Hayashi Hyuga was as close to praise as his daughter typically received. I'm sure you'll do well, he said, surprising himself with the sincerity in his voice. Careful, Hela whispered in his mind. Genuine attachment is a vulnerability. Strategic alliance, Naruto corrected silently, though he wasn't entirely convinced by his own justification. Iruka and Mizuki entered, calling for attention. The written exam was distributed first. Basic knowledge of shinobi rules, history, and theoretical concepts. Naruto worked through it methodically, deliberately missing a few of the more obscure questions for authenticity. When they moved to the practical portion, he noted Mizuki watching him with particular intensity. He's planning something for today. Hela observed as Naruto waited his turn for the ninjutsu demonstration. Let him try, Naruto thought back, his inner voice cold. When his name was called, he stepped forward, consciously adopting a slightly nervous demeanor. Perform the clone jutsu. Iruka instructed, clipboard ready. Naruto formed the hand seals at a careful pace, molding his chakra with deliberate restraint. 3 clones materialized beside him, solid, accurate, but with subtly less detail than he was capable of producing. Good, Iruka noted, making a mark on his clipboard. Now transformation. Again, Naruto performed competently but not perfectly, including a minor flaw in his henge of the 3rd Hokage. Slightly too tall, the skin tone a shade off. Throughout the examination, he maintained this careful balance, passing each section comfortably while inserting small imperfections that would keep him from standing out. Only once did he catch Mizuki attempting to interfere, subtly adjusting the balance of a kunai just before Naruto's throwing test. A quick, imperceptible flex of chakra, one of Hela's earliest teachings, corrected the weapon's flight midair, resulting in a solid but unremarkable score. By early afternoon, all tests were complete. Students gathered in the classroom to receive their results, and for those who passed, their shinobi headbands. When I call your name, Iruka announced, please come forward to receive your official status as Genin of Konohagakure. Names were called alphabetically. Naruto observed each classmate's reaction. Sakura's barely contained excitement, Sasuke's cool indifference, Shikamaru's put upon sigh as if graduating were simply another troublesome obligation. Uzumaki Naruto, Iruka called finally. Naruto approached the desk, noting the slight narrowing of Mizuki's eyes. Congratulations, Iruka said, offering a headband and a rare, genuine smile. You've passed with solid marks across all categories. Thank you, Iruka-sensei. Naruto replied, accepting the symbol of his new status with appropriate gratitude. As he returned to his seat, headband in hand, he caught Mizuki's calculating gaze following him. He's made his decision, Hela noted. Whatever he's planning, it will happen soon. Good, Naruto thought, tying the headband around his forehead. I'm ready. After the ceremony concluded, students filtered out of the academy, many met by proud parents eager to celebrate their children's achievement. Naruto observed these interactions with his usual detached interest, noting which families showed genuine pride and which seemed to view graduation merely as an expected milestone. He was about to leave when Mizuki approached, his smile friendly but eyes cold. Naruto, could I speak with you for a moment? The instructor asked. Here it comes, Hela whispered, anticipation coloring her voice. Of course, Mizuki-sensei, Naruto replied, the picture of polite attention. Mizuki led him to a quiet corner of the academy grounds, away from the dispersing families. I wanted to congratulate you personally, he began. Your progress over the years has been noteworthy. Thank you, sensei. In fact, Mizuki continued, lowering his voice conspiratorially, I believe you have potential for special advancement. Naruto tilted his head, feigning naive interest. Special advancement? There's a secondary test, offered only to students who show particular promise. Mizuki's eyes gleamed with ill-concealed malice. A chance to skip the typical genin period and qualify directly for higher consideration. How clumsy, Hela scoffed in Naruto's mind. Does he truly believe you're this gullible? Naruto maintained his innocent expression. What kind of test? A retrieval mission, Mizuki explained, his voice dropping further. Simple but requiring discretion. There's a scroll in the Hokage's personal library, the scroll of sealing. Obtaining it without detection demonstrates skills beyond basic genin level. That sounds like stealing, Naruto said, injecting exactly the right amount of uncertainty into his voice. Mizuki's smile widened. Not stealing, borrowing for educational purposes. It's a traditional test, though not widely discussed. The Hokage himself knows about it. The lie was so transparent Naruto almost admired its boldness. And if I complete this test, bring the scroll to the abandoned training ground in the eastern forest at midnight. I'll meet you there to evaluate your understanding of its contents. Mizuki placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder, gripped slightly too tight. This is a significant opportunity, Naruto. One I'm offering only to you. He's targeting you specifically, Hela noted. The question is why? The Nine Tails, Naruto thought back. He knows what I contain. I'd be honored to attempt this test, Mizuki-sensei, he said aloud, bowing slightly. Relief flashed across Mizuki's face, quickly replaced by smug satisfaction. Remember, midnight Eastern training ground. And tell no one. Secrecy is part of the evaluation, Naruto nodded earnestly. I understand. As Mizuki walked away, Hela's laughter echoed in Naruto's mind. How delightful. He's delivered himself to us with such convenient packaging. What should we do? Naruto asked, already considering options. Exactly what he expects, Hela replied. But with our own modifications. This presents the perfect opportunity to deal with multiple objectives at once. Naruto nodded slightly, his expression shifting from innocent student to calculated strategist the moment Mizuki disappeared from view. Indeed it does. The afternoon stretched into evening as Naruto prepared. He cleaned his apartment thoroughly, organized his weapons, and consumed a careful meal, all with the methodical precision of someone who knows significant events lie ahead. As twilight deepened into night, he changed into his mission attire. Black pants and shirt with subtle armoring, fingerless gloves reinforced with metal plates, and a green accented jacket that contained hidden seals for extra weapon storage. His newly acquired headband gleamed in the dim light as he adjusted it. Are you ready? Hela asked, materializing fully beside him. Naruto nodded, checking his equipment one final time. Yes. But before we proceed with Mizuki's test, there's something I need to do. Hela raised an eyebrow. Oh, I need to speak with the Hokage. Surprise flashed across Hela's face. That's unexpected. Why? Tactical advantage, Naruto explained. If Mizuki's plan involves the scroll of sealing, there's genuine value in examining its contents. But getting caught stealing it would create complications we don't need. And you believe the Hokage will simply allow you access? Hela's tone was skeptical. Not exactly, Naruto replied, a faint smile touching his lips. But he'll be intrigued enough to listen. Trust me, mother. This serves our long-term goals. Hela studied him for a long moment, then inclined her head regally. Very well. Show me what you've learned about strategy, my son. 30 minutes later, Naruto stood outside the Hokage's office, waiting as the ANBU guard announced his presence. Minato had been working late, as he often did, a fortunate coincidence that saved Naruto the trouble of locating him elsewhere. Enter, came the Hokage's voice. Naruto stepped inside, bowing respectfully. Thank you for seeing me at this hour, Hokage-sama. Minato looked up from his paperwork, surprise and curiosity evident on his face. Naruto, congratulations on your graduation. What brings you here so late? Naruto remained standing formally, hands at his sides. A matter of village security, sir. I believe one of the academy instructors is planning to steal the scroll of sealing tonight. Minato's expression sharpened instantly, all traces of fatigue vanishing. Explain. Mizuki-sensei approached me after the graduation ceremony. Naruto began, his voice clear and precise. He claimed there was a special, secret test that could grant me advanced placement. The test involved stealing the scroll of sealing and bringing it to him at the Eastern training ground at midnight. The Hokage's eyes narrowed dangerously. I see. And you came directly to me with this information? Yes, sir. Naruto met his gaze steadily. While I understood immediately it was a deception, I recognized a potential threat to village security. I appreciate your diligence, Minato said, studying the boy carefully. Most students might have been tempted by such an offer, Naruto allowed a carefully calculated hesitation. I did consider what benefits might come from appearing to comply while setting a trap. The scroll contains valuable knowledge, and catching a traitor would reflect well on a new genin. A flicker of surprise crossed Minato's face at this unusual honesty. That's quite strategic thinking for someone your age. My training has emphasized tactical assessment. Naruto replied simply. Minato's expression darkened slightly at the reminder of Hela's influence, but he nodded. What did you have in mind? A controlled operation, Naruto suggested. I take a decoy scroll to Mizuki as planned. You position Anbu to capture him when he reveals his true intentions, and in exchange, you get a legitimate opportunity to examine the real scroll under supervision. Minato concluded, a faint, knowing smile touching his lips. Naruto inclined his head, neither confirming nor denying. Minato leaned back in his chair, considering. You know, most shinobi would have simply reported the treachery and left the resolution to their superiors. I'm not most shinobi, Naruto stated simply. The Hokage held his gaze for a long moment. No, you certainly aren't, he sighed, making his decision. Very well. We'll proceed with your suggestion, with modifications. He rose, moving to a bookshelf behind his desk. From it, he retrieved a large scroll similar in appearance to the scroll of sealing. This contains non-classified training techniques, he explained. Convincing enough to fool Mizuki initially. He set it on the desk between them. You'll take this to the meeting point. NBU will be positioned for surveillance and intervention, but only after Mizuki fully incriminates himself. Naruto nodded, satisfied with the arrangement. And afterward, Minato's expression softened slightly. Afterward, assuming the operation succeeds, I'll personally oversee a supervised examination of selected portions of the real scroll. There's a technique in particular that I believe would suit your unique chakra situation. He's offering more than expected, Hela noted, her voice cautious in Naruto's mind. Be wary of gifts too freely given. Thank you, Hokage-sama, Naruto said aloud. I appreciate your trust. This isn't entirely about trust, Naruto, Minato replied candidly. It's also about providing legitimate channels for your ambitions. I'd rather you learn dangerous techniques under supervision than seek them out through less official means. The assessment was surprisingly astute, and Naruto acknowledged it with a slight bow. When should I depart for the meeting point? 11:30. That will give the ANBU time to position themselves. Minato handed him the decoy scroll. Report back here immediately after the operation concludes. Understood. Naruto accepted the scroll, securing it across his back. As he turned to leave, Minato called after him. Naruto, I'm proud of you for bringing this to my attention. It shows good judgment. Naruto paused, genuinely surprised by the praise. Thank you, sir. Outside, as he made his way across the village rooftops with the decoy scroll, Hela materialized briefly beside him, running effortlessly alongside. Cleverly played, she acknowledged. You've secured legitimate access to forbidden techniques while positioning yourself as trustworthy in the Hokage's eyes, and we still get to deal with Mizuki, Naruto added, a cold gleam in his eyes as he leapt from building to building. Everything we wanted, with none of the disadvantages of operating outside authority. Hela's smile was sharp as a blade. You're learning, my son. The most effective path to power is often the one that appears to follow the rules. The eastern training ground lay shrouded in darkness when Naruto arrived, exactly at midnight. Ancient trees created deep shadows, broken only by patches of moonlight filtering through the canopy. He positioned himself in a small clearing, the decoy scroll prominently displayed beside him. NBU are in position, he noted mentally, having detected their chakra signatures upon arrival. At least 4, possibly 5. The Hokage is taking no chances, Hela observed. Interesting that he considers Mizuki dangerous enough to warrant such security. Naruto settled into a waiting posture, appearing to study the scroll while remaining acutely aware of his surroundings. Minutes passed in silence, broken only by nocturnal creatures and the faint rustling of leaves. At 12 minutes past midnight, Mizuki arrived. Well done, Naruto, he called, emerging from the tree line with a smirk of satisfaction. I see you successfully acquired the scroll. Naruto looked up, feigning nervous excitement. Mizuki-sensei. It was difficult, but I managed to get past the guards like you suggested. Mizuki approached, eyes fixed on the scroll. Perfect. Now hand it over, and we can proceed with your evaluation. Actually, I've already started learning from it, Naruto said, injecting uncertainty into his voice. Shouldn't I demonstrate what I've learned first? That was part of the test, right? Irritation flashed across Mizuki's face. There's no need for that. Give me the scroll now. Why are you in such a hurry? Naruto asked, allowing suspicion to creep into his tone. And why would the special advancement test require taking this scroll secretly? Shouldn't the Hokage be the one evaluating me? Mizuki's facade cracked, his expression twisting into contempt. You stupid child. There is no test. Did you really think someone like you would be offered special advancement? Someone like me? Naruto repeated, eyes widening in feigned hurt. A monster. Mizuki spat, moving closer. A demon wearing human skin. Did you think we didn't know? That we couldn't sense what you really are? Naruto backed away slightly, playing the role of shocked student perfectly. What are you talking about? Mizuki laughed, the sound ugly with malice. The nine-tailed fox that nearly destroyed our village 12 years ago. It wasn't killed. It was sealed inside you. You are the demon, Naruto. Why do you think everyone hates you? Why do you think you're always alone? He's revealing classified information, Hela noted with amusement. Adding to his crimes. That's not true, Naruto whispered, though he allowed a flash of recognition to cross his face, as if pieces were falling into place. Oh, it's true, Mizuki assured him, drawing closer. And now you've served your purpose by stealing the scroll from me. Once I deliver it to my new master, I'll be rewarded beyond imagination. And as a bonus, I'll rid the village of its demon problem. He drew a large shuriken from his back, spinning it menacingly. Don't worry, I'll tell everyone how you went mad from discovering your true nature. How you stole the scroll and I had no choice but to eliminate you. Naruto clutched the scroll protectively, backing away further. You're lying. The Hokage would have told me if I... The Hokage? Mizuki sneered. He's the one who created the law forbidding anyone from telling you the truth. He claimed it was to protect you, but really, he was just protecting his weapon. He's quite committed to this villainous monologue, Hela commented dryly. How tedious. You are waiting for a direct attack before intervening, Naruto observed. Standard protocol. Mizuki raised the shuriken. Now die, demon brat! The massive weapon hurtled toward Naruto, spinning with lethal velocity. In the split second before impact, Naruto calculated his options, dodged completely, showing his true speed, allow a grazing hit to maintain his cover? Or, a third option presented itself, one that would serve multiple purposes at once. Decision made, Naruto moved just enough that the shuriken would strike the scroll rather than his vital organs. The impact sent him tumbling backward, the scroll absorbing most of the damage, but allowing a shallow cut across his shoulder, enough to draw blood without causing serious injury. Arg! He cried out, clutching his shoulder and sprawling in the dirt. Mizuki approached, drawing a kunai. Pathetic. This is the dreaded Nine Tails? I expected more of a challenge. As the traitor raised his weapon for the killing blow, the night erupted into motion. ANBU operatives converged from multiple directions, surrounding Mizuki in an instant. Mizuki! Came a cold voice from behind the mask of the lead operative. You are under arrest for treason against Konoha the Cour. The instructor froze, kunai still raised, his face contorting in shock as he realized the trap he'd walked into. Moonlight caught on ANBU masks. A hawk, a cat, a boar, their blank porcelain features somehow more menacing for their expressionlessness. How? Mizuki choked out, his gaze darting wildly between the elite shinobi and Naruto, who still lay clutching his shoulder. Understanding dawned in his eyes. You set me up! Naruto's expression transformed, the mask of innocent fear dropping away like a discarded cloak. His eyes hardened, posture straightening despite the blood seeping through his fingers. Did you really think, he said, voice steady and unerringly mature, that I wouldn't recognize such an obvious manipulation? Mizuki's face twisted with rage. You little, but before he could finish, Tuienbiu had him restrained, his weapons stripped away, Chakra-suppressing cuffs snapped around his wrists. "Mizuki," intoned the hawk-masked operative. "You are charged with treason, attempted theft of a classified village artifact, assault on a Konoha shinobi, and unauthorized disclosure of S-rank secrets. This isn't over." Mizuki snarled as they dragged him away. "There are others, powers beyond your imagination. Lord Orochimaru will." A swift chop to the neck silenced him mid-threat, his body going limp as he lost consciousness. The cat-masked Anbu approached Naruto, kneeling to examine his injury. "You require medical attention. It's superficial," Naruto replied, rising to his feet and retrieving the damaged decoy scroll. The scroll took most of the impact. Even behind the mask, Naruto could sense the Anbu's surprise at his composure. A 12-year-old should be shaken after a murder attempt, not calmly assessing damage. Nevertheless, the operative insisted. "Protocol requires, I'll see to his wound personally," came a new voice as Minato Namikaze stepped into the clearing, his white Hokage coat gleaming in the moonlight. "Excellent work, everyone. Take Mizuki to TNI for immediate processing. I want to know who he was working with and what he meant by that partial confession." As the Anbu vanished with their prisoner, Minato approached Naruto, concern visible in eyes so like his son's. "Are you alright?" "Yes, Hokage-sama," Naruto replied, straightening to formal attention despite his injury. The operation was successful. Minato's expression grew complicated. Pride mingled with sadness as he observed his son's unchildlike composure. "You performed well. Though I'd hoped you wouldn't need to experience combat quite so soon after graduation." Naruto allowed a faint, knowing smile. "We both know this was hardly my first experience with violence." A shadow passed over Minato's face. "No, I suppose it wasn't." He gestured to the wound. "Let me see that." As the Hokage applied basic medical ninjutsu to the cut, his touch gentle, Naruto fought an unfamiliar sensation, something dangerously close to longing for a connection he'd been trained to dismiss. "Careful," Hela whispered in his mind, sensing his momentary vulnerability. "He seeks to manipulate you through sentimentality." "I know," Naruto responded silently, though with less conviction than usual. "There," Minato said, finishing the treatment. The wound had closed, leaving only a faint pink line that would vanish completely by morning. "Now, I believe I made you a promise." Naruto's attention sharpened. "The scroll of sealing," Minato nodded. "Follow me." They traveled back to the Hokage Tower in silence, leaping across rooftops under a star-filled sky. Inside his private office, Minato activated a complex series of security seals before retrieving the actual scroll of sealing from a hidden compartment. "This contains techniques developed by every Hokage since the village's founding," he explained, carefully unrolling it on his desk. "Some are forbidden because they're dangerous to the user. Others because they're too powerful to be widely known." Naruto approached, eyes hungrily scanning the contents. Even Hela's presence in his mind seemed to lean forward with interest. "This is the technique I mentioned," Minato said, indicating a section midway through the scroll. "Shadow Clone Jutsu. Unlike the basic clone technique you learned at the academy, these are solid duplicates, capable of independent action." Naruto studied the instructions, memorizing the hand seals and chakra pathways. "It requires significant chakra," he observed, "more than most genin possess." Minato confirmed. "But with your reserves." He didn't need to finish the thought. They both knew Naruto's chakra capacity far exceeded normal parameters. "Why show me this specifically?" Naruto asked, looking up from the scroll. Minato met his gaze directly. "Because it suits your unique situation in ways you might not immediately recognize. When a shadow clone dissipates, all its experiences, knowledge, training, observations, transfer back to the original." Understanding dawned in Naruto's eyes. "Accelerated learning, precisely." Minato nodded. "Most shinobi can create only a few shadow clones at a time. You could potentially create dozens, perhaps hundreds. He's offering you a tool of extraordinary value," Hela noted, surprise evident in her mental voice. "One that will exponentially increase your rate of advancement." "Thank you," Naruto said quietly, genuine gratitude coloring his words. "This is more than I expected." Minato's expression softened. "I want you to succeed, Naruto." I always have. Before Naruto could respond, the Hokage continued. There's something else you should know. Something Mizuki was actually right about, though his interpretation was monstrous. The nine-tailed fox. Naruto said simply. Surprise flashed across Minato's face. You already knew that I'm its Jinchuriki? Yes. Naruto maintained steady eye contact. Mother told me years ago. Minato's jaw tightened at the mention of Hela. I see. And what else did she tell you? That it's sealed within me. That its power can be accessed and controlled with proper training. Naruto paused, weighing how much to reveal. That death recognizes death across realms. A chill seemed to sweep through the office at these words. Minato's expression grew grave. She speaks of the fox as if they share some fundamental nature, don't they? Naruto asked, genuinely curious about the Hokage's perspective. Minato sighed, suddenly looking older than his years. The Nine Tails is a being of immense power, yes. Destructive potential beyond most comprehension. But it's not death incarnate, Naruto. It's a bijou, a living entity with consciousness, history, even a name. This was new information. A name? Kurama, Minato said quietly. Though few living people know it. Interesting, Hela whispered. Names have power across all realms. Why tell me this now? Naruto asked. Because you're old enough to understand the truth, not just your mother's interpretation of it. Minato closed the scroll carefully. The Nine Tails, Kurama, is more than a weapon or a source of power. The relationship between Jinchuriki and bijou is complex. Historically, it's been one of subjugation and imprisonment. But it doesn't have to be. Naruto absorbed this information, filing it away for later consideration. I'm planning to make contact with the fox, with Kurama. Soon, alarm flashed across Minato's face. That's extremely dangerous without proper preparation. I am prepared, Naruto stated with quiet confidence. Mother has been training me for this moment for years. Minato took a deep breath, visibly restraining himself from an emotional response. Will you at least allow me to strengthen the seal first? As a precaution, Naruto hesitated, sensing Hela's immediate wariness. A trap, she warned. He seeks to modify our connection, or genuine concern, Naruto countered, surprising himself with the thought. After a moment's consideration, he shook his head. Thank you, but that won't be necessary. The seal is functioning perfectly. Disappointment flickered across Minato's face, quickly masked. Very well. But my offer stands should you change your mind. He rolled up the scroll of sealing, returning it to its hiding place. You should get some rest. Team assignments will be announced tomorrow, and you'll want to be at your best. Naruto bowed slightly. Thank you for the opportunity to learn the Shadow Clone Jutsu, Hokage-sama. Minato's expression softened once more. You earned it today, Naruto. Not just by helping capture a traitor, but by showing good judgment in coming to me first. As Naruto turned to leave, Minato added quietly. I'm proud of the shinobi you're becoming. I just hope. He trailed off, leaving the thought unfinished. But Naruto could hear the unspoken conclusion. I just hope she doesn't erase the humanity in you completely. The journey home through darkened streets gave Naruto time to process the night's events. His shoulder had already healed completely, the fox's power working in conjunction with his own accelerated healing. A productive evening, Hela observed as they entered their apartment. You've gained a valuable technique, eliminated a threat, and positioned yourself favorably in the Hokage's estimation. He's becoming more direct in his attempts to influence me. Naruto noted, securing the door behind him. Offering knowledge, sharing secrets about the fox, appealing to my curiosity. Of course he is. Hela materialized fully, pacing the small living room with predatory grace. He sees you approaching a crossroads and fears which path you'll choose. Naruto removed his blood-stained jacket, examining it critically. He mentioned that the fox has a name. Kurama. Hela paused, something like surprise crossing her face. Names have power, she acknowledged. Especially true names freely given. You knew the fox was named? I sensed it was a being of significance, she replied carefully. All such entities possess true names across all realms. But knowing that name creates possibilities. Naruto's eyes narrowed slightly at her uncharacteristic evasiveness. What kind of possibilities? Communication, Hela said after a moment. Understanding. Perhaps even alliance of a sort. Alliance? Naruto repeated, genuine surprise coloring his voice. You've always spoken of the fox as a power to be controlled, not an ally. Hela's smile was enigmatic. Control takes many forms, my son. The most effective bonds are those the subjugated believe they've chosen freely. She moved to the window, gazing out at the sleeping village. Tonight changed things. We must accelerate our plans, because of what Mizuki said. About Orochimaru? Partly. Hela's form shimmered slightly, her connection to this realm momentarily wavering. But also because you're ready. More than ready. The graduation was merely a formality. You've surpassed this village's concept of genin years ago. Naruto felt a surge of pride at her rare praise, even as he recognized the calculated nature of it. What's our next move? First, she turned to face him, eyes glowing with emerald power. You must meet Kurama. Not as a prisoner meeting jailer, but as death greeting death. And then, her smile was terrible in its beauty. Then we begin gathering the pieces necessary for my return to corporeal form in this realm. The time for shadows is ending, my son. Soon, Konoha, and worlds beyond, will know the true meaning of our bond. Outside, a cloud passed over the moon, plunging the village into momentary darkness. And in that darkness, something ancient stirred behind the seal in Naruto's core. A being of immense power, listening, waiting, its 9 tails sweeping slowly through the mindscape as it contemplated the strange trinity it had become part of. Kurama, it thought to itself, testing the sound of its own name after centuries of none speaking it. They know my name, and somehow, that changed everything. Dawn painted Konoha's rooftops with liquid gold as Naruto completed his morning training routine. Today's exercises had been particularly intense, his body driven to its limits in preparation for what lay ahead. Sweat beaded on his forehead as he held the final stance, muscles trembling slightly with exertion. Enough, Hela pronounced, circling him with critical eyes. Your form is acceptable. Coming from her, this qualified as high praise. Naruto relaxed, drawing a deep breath as he centered himself. Today will be significant, she continued, moving to the window. Team assignments represent both opportunity and constraint. I've analyzed the likely combinations, Naruto replied, reaching for a towel to wipe his face. Based on traditional balancing metrics, I'll probably be paired with Sasuke Uchiha and either Sakura Haruno or Ino Yamanaka. Hela nodded. The last Uchiha. His bloodline makes him valuable, though his obsession with revenge makes him unstable, predictable. Naruto corrected, heading to the shower. His motivations are transparent, which makes him easily managed. The hot water sluiced away sweat and tension, giving him a moment of rare solitude. Even Hela respected certain boundaries, remaining silent during these brief private moments. As steam filled the small bathroom, Naruto found his thoughts drifting to the night's coming challenge. Direct contact with the being sealed within him, Kurama. The name still felt strange, giving identity to what he'd always conceptualized as simply the fox or the 9 tails. A weapon, a power source, a tool. Not a named entity with its own consciousness, history, agenda. Don't humanize it, he reminded himself sternly. Names don't change fundamental nature. Yet doubt lingered as he dressed in his standard attire, newly minted headband gleaming against his forehead. The Hokage's words had planted a seed of curiosity that refused to be dismissed. Hela awaited him in the kitchen, watching as he prepared a protein-rich breakfast. Your mind is troubled, she observed. Focus, he corrected, though they both knew it wasn't entirely true. There are many variables in play today, indeed. Her eyes narrowed slightly. The Hokage's revelations have affected you. It wasn't a question, but Naruto answered anyway. Information is valuable. Understanding the fox's nature, Kurama's nature, gives us tactical advantage. True enough. Hela conceded, though something in her tone suggested she wasn't entirely convinced by his rationalization. Remember your primary objective, to advance in rank and authority within this village's system, while we work toward my corporeal restoration. Naruto nodded, finishing his meal in thoughtful silence. Before leaving, he performed his usual ritual at the small shrine, fingers tracing Asgardian runes carved into its wooden surface. "I won't fail you, mother," he promised quietly. Her smile was proud but calculating. "I know. You never have." The academy buzzed with excitement when Naruto arrived. Newly graduated genin clustered in animated groups, speculating about teen placements and future missions. He navigated through them like a shadow, observing dynamics and gathering information without drawing attention. "Naruto-kun!" Hinata's quiet voice reached him as he entered the classroom. She stood hesitantly near the entrance, fingers twisting together in her characteristic gesture of nervousness. "Good morning, Hinata-san," he greeted, noting the dark circles under her eyes. "You look tired. Was your father displeased with your graduation results?" She blinked, surprised by his perceptiveness. He expected better rankings, which meant Heishi Hyuga had subjected his daughter to grueling training as punishment for not placing at the absolute top of the class. A pattern Naruto had observed repeatedly over the years. "Your technical scores were excellent," he said, allowing genuine kindness to color his voice. "And your chakra control is among the best in our cohort." A flush spread across her pale cheeks. "Thank you, Naruto-kun. I hope we might be placed on the same team." "Unlikely," Hela commented in his mind. "They won't waste a Byakugan user on a team with the Uchiha and yourself. Too much specialized power concentrated in one unit." Naruto nodded agreement to the unspoken assessment. "We'll know soon enough," he told Hinata with a small smile. "Either way, I hope your placement brings opportunities worthy of your skills." Her blush deepened at the compliment. But before she could respond, a commotion erupted near the door as Sakura Haruno and Ino Yamanaka burst into the classroom simultaneously, locked in their perpetual competition for Sasuke's attention. "I was here first, billboard brow," Ino declared, elbowing her rival. "In your dreams, Ino pig," Sakura countered, pushing back. Naruto observed their antics with detached interest, noting how their voices lowered immediately when they spotted Sasuke brooding in his usual seat. The last Uchiha ignored them completely, staring out the window with studied indifference. "Such childish displays," Hela scoffed. "And these are considered elite candidates. The academy prioritizes technical skill over emotional maturity," Naruto replied mentally. "It creates exploitable weaknesses." He took his seat at the back of the room, watching as the classroom filled with his peers. Despite their new headbands and official status as Konoha Genin, most still behaved like the children they were, laughing, arguing, showing off for one another. Shikamaru and Nara slouched into the seat beside him, expression bored but eyes alert. "Troublesome," he muttered, glancing at the Sasuke fan club gathering across the room. "Predictable," Naruto countered softly. Shikamaru's mouth quirked in a ghost of a smile. That too. Their brief exchange was interrupted as Irika entered, calling for attention. The classroom gradually quieted, anticipation filling the air. "Congratulations again on your graduation," Irika began, genuine pride warming his voice. "Today you take your first steps as true shinobi of Konohagakure. You'll be divided into 3-person teams under the guidance of a Jonin instructor." As he began reading off team assignments, Naruto tracked the patterns with interest. The traditional formations were largely maintained, Ino Shikacho preserved for another generation, a tracking team built around Hinata's Byakugan, specialized units reflecting particular village needs. Team 7, Irika announced, will consist of Sakura Haruno, Naruto Uzumaki, and Sasuke Uchiha, under Kakashi Hatake. A predictable outcry followed. Sakura's triumphant squeal, jealous protests from other girls, Sasuke's irritated scoff. Naruto accepted the assignment with a slight nod, though internally his mind raced with analysis. Kakashi Hatake, he thought. The Hokage's former student. Copy ninja. ANBU captain. A deliberate choice. Indeed, Hela agreed. Minato places you with his most trusted subordinate. For observation, certainly, but also protection, and connection to my heritage, Naruto added, recognizing the Hokage's subtle maneuvering. A link to my father that bypasses you. Hela's mental laughter held cold amusement. So transparent, these humans and their sentimentality. After Irika finished the assignments and dismissed them for lunch, Naruto observed his new teammates' reactions. Sakura immediately approached Sasuke, inviting him to eat together, to get to know each other better. While the Uchiha brushed her off with barely concealed irritation, neither acknowledged Naruto. Typical, Hela noted. They see you as an inconvenience, the unwanted third wheel in their dysfunctional dynamic. Their underestimation serves our purposes, Naruto replied, rising from his seat. For now, he spent the lunch hour alone, perched in a tree overlooking the academy grounds, observing the various team dynamics already forming. Some, like Team 10 with the new Ino Shikacho formation, fell into established patterns with practiced ease. Others, like Team 8 with Hinata, Kiba, and Shino, awkwardly navigated new social connections. His own teammates ate separately, Sasuke in isolated brooding, Sakura watching him from a distance with obvious infatuation. This team structure is fundamentally flawed, Naruto observed. Sasuke's arrogance, Sakura's fixation on him. Whatever agenda Kakashi brings, they're setting us up for dysfunction, or testing your adaptability, Hela suggested. Perhaps deliberately creating obstacles for you to overcome. Naruto considered this possibility as he returned to the classroom for the afternoon session. One by one, Jonin instructors arrived to collect their teams. Asuma Sarutobi for Team 10, Kurina Yuhi for Team 8, others Naruto recognized from his years of careful village observation. But no one came for Team 7. An hour passed, then too. Sakura's patience visibly frayed while Sasuke's scowl deepened. Naruto remained calm, using the time to mentally review what he knew about Kakashi Hatake. He's testing us already, he realized. Observing how we handle waiting, frustration, boredom. Finally, nearly 3 hours after the appointed time, the classroom door slid open to reveal a tall, silver-haired Jonin. His headband slanted to cover his left eye, mask concealing the lower half of his face. Team 7? He said lazily, visible eye sweeping over them with apparent disinterest. My first impression is, you're boring. Meet me on the roof in 5 minutes. He vanished in a swirl of leaves, leaving Sakura sputtering indignantly while Sasuke rose with barely contained irritation. Naruto followed silently, noting their reactions as valuable data points. On the rooftop, Kakashi leaned against the railing, orange book in hand. He didn't look up as they assembled before him, deliberately allowing several minutes of awkward silence to stretch between them. Another test, Naruto thought. Psychological pressure. Finally, Kakashi closed his book with deliberate slowness. Well, let's begin with introductions. Names, likes, dislikes, hobbies, dreams for the future, that sort of thing. Maybe you should go first, sensei. Sakura suggested, still clearly annoyed by the long wait. Kakashi shrugged. Me? I'm Kakashi Hatake. Things I like and things I dislike. I don't feel like telling you that. My dreams for the future. Never really thought about it. As for my hobbies, I have lots of hobbies. He's revealed nothing while appearing to participate. Hela observed with something like professional appreciation. A skilled deflection. Now you. Kakashi pointed to Sakura. Pink hair. She straightened, voice taking on a performative cheerfulness. I'm Sakura Haruno. What I mean the person I like is... She glanced at Sasuke with a blush. My hobby is... Another glance. My dream for the future is... A giggle and a third glance at the increasingly annoyed Uchiha. And? Kakashi prompted. What do you dislike? Naruto, she declared without hesitation, shooting him a glare. Naruto's expression remained neutral, though he mentally filed away her casual hostility as yet another data point in the team's dysfunction. Next, Kakashi nodded towards Sasuke. My name is Sasuke Uchiha, he began, fingers steepled before him, voice cold and determined. I dislike many things, and I don't particularly like anything. What I have is not a dream, because I will make it a reality. I'm going to restore my clan and kill a certain man. Silence followed his declaration, heavy with the weight of his hatred. Obsession has hollowed him, Hela noted. He funnels all emotion into vengeance, leaving nothing for growth or connection, making him predictable, Naruto added silently, and manipulable. And finally, Kakashi gestured toward Naruto, his seemingly bored gaze suddenly more focused. Naruto met the Jonin's eyes directly, considering his approach. This introduction represented a strategic opportunity. What persona would best serve his long-term goals with this team? I am Naruto Uzumaki. He began, voice deliberately modulated to project calm confidence without arrogance. I like training, learning new techniques, and occasionally ramen from Ichiraku's. I dislike those who underestimate others based on superficial judgments. My hobbies include studying Fuinjutsu and the history of the great shinobi villages. My dream. He paused, selecting his words carefully. My dream is to become strong enough to protect what matters and reshape what doesn't. Kakashi's visible eye narrowed slightly, analyzing the carefully crafted response. Sakura looked confused by his articulate introduction, so different from the bumbling persona he occasionally adopted at the academy. Sasuke spared him a brief glance of reassessment before returning to his brooding. Well, Kakashi said finally, you're all unique and have your own ideas. We'll have our first mission tomorrow. What kind of mission? Sakura asked eagerly. A survival exercise. Kakashi replied, eye crinkling in what might have been a smile beneath his mask. But we did survival exercises at the academy. She protested. This isn't like your previous training. Kakashi's voice took on an ominous edge. Of the 27 graduates, only 9 will be accepted as genin. The rest will be sent back to the academy. This exercise has a 66% failure rate. Horror dawned on Sakura's face, while Sasuke's expression hardened with determination. Naruto maintained his composed exterior, though internally he recognized this as yet another test. One designed to create pressure and reveal true capabilities. What? Sakura exclaimed. But we worked so hard to get here. What was the graduation test for, then? That? Kakashi waved dismissively. That was just to select candidates who might become genin. This is the real test. He stood, stretching lazily. Bring your ninja gear and meet at training ground 3 at 5 a.m. Oh, and don't eat breakfast. You'll throw up. With that ominous warning, he vanished in another swirl of leaves, leaving the 3 newly formed teammates in stunned silence. Sakura recovered first, turning to Sasuke with forced brightness. So, Sasuke-kun, should we discuss strategy for tomorrow? Maybe train together this afternoon? No, he replied flatly, standing to leave. I train alone. As he walked away, Sakura's shoulders slumped in disappointment. She seemed to remember Naruto's presence suddenly, shooting him a suspicious glance. What was that all about? She demanded. You sounded different. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Different how? I don't know. Just not like you. She narrowed her eyes. Are you trying to show off to impress Sasuke-kun? The accusation was so wildly off base that Naruto almost laughed. Instead, he offered a small, enigmatic smile. Perhaps you don't know me as well as you think, Sakura-san. He left her standing there, confusion written across her face, and made his way home through the afternoon crowds. As expected, ANBU's shadows followed at a discreet distance. More surveillance than usual after the Mizuki incident. Kakashi's test will be designed to evaluate teamwork, he thought as he walked. The village consistently emphasizes cooperation over individual achievement, a philosophy at odds with true excellence, Hela commented. Greatness is rarely achieved by committee, yet appearing to embrace their values serves our purposes, Naruto countered. For now, back in his apartment, he spent the afternoon studying the shadow clone jutsu from memory, practicing the hand seals and chakra modulation without actually performing the technique. No sense revealing his newly acquired skill to any watching ANBU before it became strategically advantageous. As evening fell, he prepared and consumed a larger-than-usual meal, ignoring Kakashi's instruction to fast before the test. A transparent attempt to weaken us physically, he explained to Hela as he ate. Creating artificial stress to observe our decision-making under pressure, she nodded approvingly. You'll need your strength tonight regardless. Contacting Kurama will tax your reserves. The name still felt strange on her lips, an acknowledgement of the fox as an entity rather than simply a power source. Naruto finished his meal in thoughtful silence, mentally preparing for the night's true challenge. When full darkness had fallen, he secured his apartment with additional privacy seals. ones that would mask chakra fluctuations from any watching ANBU. Then he settled into the meditation position at the center of his bedroom, Hela materializing fully across from him. "Your mind must be absolutely focused," she instructed, her form shimmering with green energy. "The fox, Kurama, is ancient and cunning. It will test you, try to manipulate you, perhaps even threaten you. I'm ready," Naruto replied, closing his eyes and beginning the breathing pattern that would sink him into the necessary trance state. "Remember," Hela's voice grew distant as he descended into meditation. "You approach not as supplicant but as equal. Death recognizes death across all realms." The transition happened suddenly. One moment Naruto was aware of his physical body. The next he stood in a vast, cavernous space, ankle-deep in water that reflected no light. Before him loomed enormous bars, a paper seal at their center glowing with complex fuinjutsu patterns interwoven with hellish green energy. And behind those bars, two enormous, slitted crimson eyes opened in the darkness. "So," rumbled a voice like distant thunder. "My jailer finally decides to visit." Naruto held his ground, meeting that massive gaze without flinching. "Not your jailer," he corrected calmly. "Your partner." A sound like mountains laughing shook the mindscape. "Partner? Is that what she told you to say?" From the shadows behind Naruto, Hela materialized, her form more solid here than in the physical world. "Kurama," she acknowledged, using the name deliberately. "It's been some time since we spoke directly." The massive eyes shifted to her, narrowing in what might have been recognition. "Goddess of death," the fox rumbled. "Still playing at motherhood? How domestic of you, still trapped behind bars?" Hela countered smoothly. How predictable. Tension crackled between them like lightning, two ancient powers measuring each other. Naruto observed their interaction carefully, noting the complex undercurrents of their exchange. "I came to speak with you," he said finally, drawing the fox's attention back to him. "Did you now?" Kurama's massive form shifted, moving closer to the bars. For the first time, Naruto could see him clearly, 9 tails sweeping majestically behind a body of orange-red fur, powerful enough to level mountains. "And what could a human child possibly have to say that would interest me? I want to understand you," Naruto replied honestly. "Not just use your power, but know who and what you truly are." Surprise flickered across Kurama's massive features before suspicion returned. "Lies. You seek control, just like all the others. If I wanted mere control, I wouldn't be here speaking with you," Naruto pointed out. "I'd simply continue drawing on your chakra when needed, treating you as nothing more than a battery." The fox growled, the sound reverberating through the chamber. Bold words from one so small. "What makes you think I won't simply devour you where you stand?" "The seal," Hela interjected smoothly, stepping forward. "My power woven through it ensures mutual survival. Harm him, and you harm yourself. Always the pragmatist, death goddess." Kurama sneered, though there was something like reluctant respect in his tone. "Always," she agreed with a cold smile. "Which is why I propose an arrangement beneficial to all 3 of us." The fox's eyes narrowed suspiciously. "Speak then." Hela glided forward, green energy pulsing around her like a deadly aura. She moved with the confident grace of royalty, even in this mindscape of dripping water and shadowed bars. "You are ancient Kurama," she began, her voice resonating with power. "You have witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations, the birth and death of countless humans. And for your trouble, you've been sealed, used, and treated as nothing more than a weapon." The massive fox huffed, hot breath washing over them. "Stating the obvious does not impress me. As guardian, what if?" Hela continued undeterred. "You could have recognition? Respect? A Jinchuriki who treats you not as a prisoner but as a power worthy of acknowledgement." Kurama's massive tails lashed behind him, sending ripples through the ankle-deep water. "Pretty words. I've heard them before from desperate humans seeking to bargain, but never from a goddess," Hela countered, her smile sharp as a blade. "Never from beings who understand what it means to transcend realms and time." Naruto stepped forward, meeting Kurama's enormous gaze directly. "I don't fear you," he stated simply. "Nor do I hate you for what happened when I was born. I respect your power, and I'm willing to offer something in exchange for a true partnership. The fox's laughter shook the entire mindscape, water droplets spraying from the ceiling. And what could a human child possibly offer me? Freedom, Naruto replied without hesitation. Silence fell, heavy and sudden as a blade dropping. Explain, Kurama growled, all 9 tails now perfectly still. Not complete freedom, not yet. Naruto clarified, his voice steady. But access to my senses. The ability to see through my eyes, hear through my ears. To experience the world outside these bars. The fox's massive head lowered until one enormous eye was level with Naruto. The crimson iris swirled with ancient power, studying the boy with newfound intensity. And what do you gain from this arrangement? Kurama asked, suspicion still evident in his rumbling voice. Your cooperation, Naruto answered honestly. Access to your chakra without the struggle that depletes us both. Your knowledge of this world's hidden histories, and your insight into beings of power. Hela added smoothly. Few in any realm understand godhood as you do, 9 tails. Kurama snorted, sending ripples through the water. Flattery will get you nowhere, Death Goddess. It isn't flattery if it's true. She replied with a cold smile. The fox fell silent, contemplating. His tail swayed slowly behind him, a hypnotic rhythm that belied the sharp calculation in his gaze. And if I refuse? He asked finally. Naruto shrugged, the gesture surprisingly casual in this otherworldly setting. Then nothing changes. You remain sealed. I continue to access your chakra when needed, and we both miss opportunities for greater strength, a strength you'll need. Hela added cryptically. The winds of change blow through this realm and others. Powers stir that even you might find concerning. Kurama's eyes narrowed at this. You speak of the masked one. Naruto glanced at his mother, surprise flickering across his face before he controlled it. This was new information, something Hela had never mentioned. Among others, she confirmed, revealing nothing more. The fox studied them both for several long moments, the silence broken only by the distant drip of water in the cavernous space. Very well, he rumbled finally. A trial arrangement. I will allow you access to my chakra more freely, and you will permit me to experience the world through your senses. And in return, Naruto added, you'll share your knowledge when I request it. Kurama bared massive teeth in what might have been a smile or a threat. We shall see, little godling. We shall see. He raised one enormous paw, pressing it against the bars. Place your hand against mine, child of 2 realms. Seal our pact. Naruto hesitated, glancing at Hela. She nodded once, a barely perceptible movement that contained volumes of calculation. He stepped forward, water rippling around his ankles, and placed his palm against the massive paw. The size difference was absurd, his entire hand dwarfed by a single pad of the fox's paw. Yet something equalizing passed between them. Red chakra swirled around their point of contact, intertwining with threads of blue and green. So be it, Kurama intoned, his voice echoing through the chamber. But know this, Naruto Uzumaki. I have existed for centuries. I have outlived every vessel that sought to contain me. I am patient beyond your comprehension. Then we have that in common. Naruto replied, meeting that ancient gaze steadily. For I too plan to outlast all expectations. The fox's laughter followed him as the mindscape dissolved, reality rushing back with dizzying speed. Naruto opened his eyes to find himself back in his apartment, dawn light filtering through the blinds. He'd been in the meditative trance all night, yet felt surprisingly refreshed, power thrumming through his veins with new intensity. Hela materialized before him, her form unusually solid in the morning light. Well done, she said, genuine approval warming her typically cold voice. You handled him masterfully. You never mentioned the masked one. Naruto observed, rising fluidly to his feet. What was Kurama referring to? A shadow passed over Hela's face. A complication for another time. Today, you have Kakashi's test to focus on. More secrets? Naruto asked, his voice carefully neutral but eyes sharp. Strategic information management. She corrected, her smile not reaching her eyes. Everything in its proper time, my son. He let it drop for now, moving to prepare for the day ahead. Inside, however, he filed away this exchange, another piece in the complex puzzle of his mother's true agenda. As he dressed, he became aware of an unfamiliar sensation, a presence at the edge of his consciousness, watchful and ancient. The fox is already using our arrangement, he realized. Observing through my senses. Good morning, Kurama. He projected the thought deliberately. A rumbling chuckle echoed through his mind, different from Hela's voice, deeper and wilder somehow. So Fomo, little godling, came the reply. This should prove entertaining. Naruto allowed himself a small smile as he secured his weapon's pouch. Having the nine tails as a conscious observer would take adjustment, but the strategic advantages outweighed the awkwardness. What do you know of Kakashi Hatake? He asked mentally as he left his apartment, moving through the pre-dawn streets toward Training Ground 3. The copy ninja? Kurama's mental voice held a note of dismissal. A talented human by your standards. Possesses a stolen Sharingan. Was your father's student, and a formidable opponent? The fox's mental equivalent of a shrug rippled through their connection. For a mortal, he survived encounters that would kill most humans. Clever, adaptable, and ruthlessly efficient when required. Useful information, confirming and expanding what Naruto already knew. By the time he reached the training ground, the sky had lightened to pearl gray, dew glistening on the grass. As expected, he was the first to arrive. Your teammates are weak, Kurama observed dismissively. The female is all book knowledge with no battle instinct. The Uchiha has potential but is blinded by hatred. Their weaknesses create opportunities, Naruto countered, settling against a tree trunk to wait. Underestimation is a powerful advantage. An hour later, Sasuke arrived, acknowledging Naruto with nothing more than a curt nod before taking position at the opposite edge of the clearing. Sakura appeared minutes after, immediately gravitating towards Sasuke while shooting suspicious glances at Naruto. By the time the sun had fully risen, painting the training ground in golden light, their irritation at Kakashi's continued absence was palpable. Sakura paced nervously, stomach growling audibly. She'd clearly followed the instruction to skip breakfast. Sasuke remained motionless but tension radiated from his rigid posture. Only Naruto appeared unaffected, using the time to observe his teammates while conducting an internal conversation with his new observer. The Uchiha's chakra has potential, Kurama noted grudgingly. But it's tainted with darkness. His eyes will be powerful when fully awakened, though nothing compared to his brother's. You knew Itachi Uchiha? Naruto asked, interest piqued. I've observed many humans during my various accommodations, came the evasive reply. The one who massacred his clan had extraordinary eyes, even by Uchiha standards. The conversation halted as Kakashi finally appeared in a swirl of leaves, nearly 3 hours late. Good morning, he greeted cheerfully, visible eye curved in what appeared to be a smile beneath his mask. You're late, Sakura exploded, pointing an accusatory finger. Sorry about that. A black cat crossed my path, so I had to take the long way. Kakashi replied without a hint of remorse. Lies flow from him like water, Kurama observed with something like respect. For a human, he's almost entertaining. Kakashi moved to a nearby stump, placing a small alarm clock on top. This is set for noon, he explained before producing 2 small bells from his pocket. Your task is simple. Get these bells from me before time runs out. Whoever doesn't get a bell goes without lunch and gets sent back to the academy. Sakura's face fell in horror while determination hardened Sasuke's features. Naruto maintained his neutral expression, though internally he confirmed his earlier assessment. A deliberate imbalance, he thought. Designed to foster competition rather than cooperation. These human games are tiresome, Kurama grumbled. Just take the bells and be done with it. Patience, Naruto counseled the ancient being, amused at the irony of advising patience to a centuries-old entity. This is as much about perception management as skilled demonstration. But sensei, Sakura protested. There are only 2 bells and 3 of us. Very observant, Kakashi replied dryly. That means at least one of you will fail. Or all of you might fail. You'll need to come at me with intent to kill if you hope to succeed. But that's dangerous, Sakura objected. Kakashi shrugged. Consider it your first real-world mission simulation. When do we start? Sasuke asked, already coiling with tension. No, Kakashi answered, crinkling in that same inscrutable smile. Sasuke and Sakura immediately leapt away. seeking concealment in the surrounding forest. Naruto remained standing in the open, evaluating his options. What are you waiting for? Kurama demanded. Attack. Observation first, Naruto replied calmly. Let's see how he handles the others. Kakashi raised an eyebrow at Naruto's continued presence. You know, typical shinobi tactics begin with concealment. I'm not a typical shinobi. Naruto replied simply. Clearly. Kakashi murmured, reaching into his equipment pouch. Naruto tensed slightly, ready to counter whatever attack came his way. To his surprise, Kakashi withdrew not a weapon but an orange book, opening it casually as if Naruto presented no threat whatsoever. He mocks you. Hela's voice joined the mental conversation. Show him his error. Not yet, Naruto countered, studying the Jonin's deceptively relaxed posture. Despite appearing absorbed in his book, Kakashi maintained perfect awareness of his surroundings, subtle shifts in his stance revealing his readiness. Aren't you going to attack? Kakashi asked without looking up from his page. I'm assessing. Naruto replied honestly. Learning occurs before action. This earned him another raised eyebrow and a more evaluative look. An unusual perspective for a fresh genin. Rather than respond, Naruto executed a perfect body flicker, disappearing from the clearing to take position in the forest canopy. From this vantage point, he could observe Sasuke and Sakura's attempts while planning his own approach. He's underestimating you, Kurama noted with clear annoyance. Use my chakra. Show him true power, and reveal our arrangement immediately? Naruto responded. Tactical error. This test requires subtlety. He watched as Sasuke launched the first serious attack. A complex sequence of taijutsu strikes followed by an impressive fireball jutsu. Kakashi countered effortlessly, eventually trapping the Uchiha prodigy in the ground with only his head exposed, all while barely looking up from his book. Sakura fared even worse, falling for a simple genjutsu that showed her Sasuke dying, causing her to faint outright. Pathetic, both Hela and Kurama commented simultaneously. Naruto suppressed a smile at their rare moment of agreement. He had analyzed enough of Kakashi's movement patterns now to formulate an approach. The Jonin was deliberately holding back, testing their problem-solving rather than their raw combat abilities. And the real test, as he'd suspected from the beginning, was about teamwork. Dropping silently from his tree, Naruto approached the still-buried Sasuke, who glared up at him with undisguised humiliation and rage. Here to gloat? The Uchiha spat. Here to propose an alliance. Naruto corrected, kneeling beside him. None of you can get the bells individually. Kakashi's too experienced, too skilled. I don't need help. Sasuke insisted, struggling uselessly against the earth imprisoning him. Evidence suggests otherwise. Naruto replied dryly, gesturing to Sasuke's predicament. The Uchiha's glare intensified, but Naruto detected a flicker of consideration behind the anger. Think strategically. He continued. This test is designed to pit us against each other, but the most efficient approach is cooperation. 3 genin with coordinated attacks have better odds than individuals working at cross purposes. And when we get the bells? Sasuke challenged. What then? There are still only 2, Naruto shrugged. We solve one problem at a time. Getting no bells guarantees failure. Getting 2 at least gives us options. Sasuke fell silent, clearly weighing his pride against practicality. Finally, he gave a sharp nod. Fine. Get me out of here. Naruto began carefully excavating around Sasuke's trapped form. We need Sakura too, he said, ignoring the Uchiha's scoff. Her chakra control is precise. Useful for distraction techniques. She's unconscious, Sasuke pointed out. Fell for a simple genjutsu. Then our first step is to revive her. Naruto replied calmly. A 3-pronged attack maximizes our chances. Once Sasuke was freed, they located Sakura, still collapsed where she'd fallen victim to Kakashi's illusion. Naruto gently shook her awake, her green eyes flying open with panic. Sasuke-kun! She gasped, throwing her arms around the startled Uchiha. You're alive! Sasuke extracted himself from her grip with visible irritation. Focus, Sakura. We're working together to get the bells. Together? She blinked in confusion, gaze darting between her teammates. Yes, Naruto confirmed. We have a plan, and remarkably they did. Over the next 10 minutes, they developed a strategy that played to each of their strengths. Sasuke's ninjutsu as the primary offensive force, Sakura's precise chakra control for timing and distraction, and Naruto's shadow clones, revealing his new technique for the first time. For diversionary tactics, this cooperation is beneath you, Hela commented disapprovingly. It serves our purpose, Naruto countered. Sometimes appearing to embrace their values is the most efficient path forward. These humans will only slow your growth, Kurama added his own assessment. But I admit, your strategic thinking has potential. Coming from the Nine Tails, this qualified as high praise. Their plan unfolded with surprising effectiveness. Sakura created an opening with a carefully timed distraction, allowing Sasuke to drive Kakashi into position with a barrage of fire techniques. Naruto's shadow clones then attacked from multiple angles, creating momentary confusion. In that split second of distraction, Sasuke's fingers brushed one bell while Naruto secured the other. As the alarm clock rang across the training ground, they stood before their sensei, bells in hand, unified in a way no one, perhaps least of all themselves, had expected. Kakashi's visible eye widened in genuine surprise. "Well," he said slowly, "this is unexpected. We got the bells," Sasuke stated flatly, holding his prize with evident satisfaction. "So you did," Kakashi acknowledged. "But now comes the real test. 2 bells, 3 students. Who goes back to the academy?" Tension crackled between them. Sakura's shoulders slumped, resignation clear on her face as she prepared for rejection. "No one," Naruto said firmly, surprising everyone by offering his bell to Sakura. "We succeeded as a team. We continue as a team." Sasuke stared at him, conflicted emotions warring across his usually stoic features. After a long moment, he grudgingly extended his bell toward Naruto. "Take it. I can pass next time." "What are you doing?" Hela demanded in Naruto's mind. "You've earned your place. Playing the long game," he responded silently. "Watch." Sakura looked between them, tears welling in her eyes. "No," she said, voice strengthening with resolve. "I was the weakest link. I should be the one to go back." Kakashi observed this exchange with growing interest, his book forgotten in his hand. "We reject the premise of your test," Naruto told him, meeting the Jonin's gaze directly. "Dividing us serves no practical purpose. A team functions as a unit or not at all." For several heartbeats, silence hung over the training ground. Then, unexpectedly, Kakashi began to laugh, a genuine sound of delighted surprise. "Well reasoned," he said finally, "and absolutely correct. The purpose of this exercise was never about the bells, it was about teamwork.